Hello, I'm Alicia. This channel is all just shit that I enjoy, basically. There's not really a rhyme or reason to anything. So I'm continuing that theme with talking about the one time that I was left for dead in a hotel room while I play Genshin Impact because Genshin makes me happy. I'm not really expecting anyone to watch this. This situation, though, is something that still really affects me mentally to this day. So this is more of like a video diary, I guess, because I doubt anyone is watching this. But the story time era of YouTube is fucking over, but I don't really care. So if for some reason you're watching this and you like it, I guess you could like and subscribe. Who knows what type of video I'll put out next? Could be anime art, could be video games. Who the fuck knows? I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, so I was an IV heroin addict for years. I've been sober for about 7 years now, and the situation is what made me get clean in the first place, honestly. So this happened about 7 or so years ago. But there is a backstory that's basically necessary to understand any of this. So it makes any fucking sense at all, so bear with me. So, like I said, I was an IV heroin addict for a bit. And the whole reason I started in the first place is because I had severe anorexia before that, and recovering was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Mentally and physically, I just couldn't handle it. Also, I don't really like the way weed makes me feel. So I literally was like sitting in my room, like not even a fucking joke, sitting in my room, Googling different types of drugs and the way that they make people feel so that I could find the one that I thought fit me the best. But anyways, that's how I started heroin. But that's like a whole different story in and of itself. So maybe another time. But I was always the type of addict that was like chasing the dragon, which means I was always chasing the high, basically. I wanted to get more and more high every single time I did it. And if not, I at least wanted to feel the same high that I did the first time that I did it, which is called chasing the dragon. So my tolerance got so ridiculously high, it probably would have killed a fucking elephant at the point I was at the end. But that's how I started shooting up fentanyl instead of normal heroin. Yes, this is all relevant to the story, so fast forward a bit, and I was living with my mom and my brother at the time. I had just got out of jail, which again is a whole different fucking story. But I was sick and tired of being watched all the time. And looking back on it, I know that they were just terrified and scared for me and terrified that I was going to kill myself. But at the time, it was really suffocating, and especially as a drug addict that literally only cared about me, myself, and I, and how to get drugs at the time. So I left, and I started staying with a friend who was also a heroin addict. But long story short, we eventually started hotel jumping for a place to stay. And not like nice hotels by any means. Like those really shitty fucking motels and quality inns that you see on like the side of the road that you think you'll probably get bed bugs and crabs if you ever stay there. Eventually, we were in a Days Inn or some shit, which really was a great hotel in comparison to all the other fucking places we were staying in. But we were really dope sick because our usual dealer didn't have anything and wouldn't for a bit. And I don't know if anyone who's normal knows what opiate withdrawals are like, especially people like us who were doing fentanyl on purpose, and our tolerances were a lot higher than a lot of normal drug addicts I've known. But the withdrawals are some of the worst fucking things I've ever experienced. Like, if you Google it, it'll say some shit like restlessness, flu-like symptoms, but that doesn't even do enough justice for the symptoms I felt when I had COVID, let alone this shit. Your entire body just feels like it's tearing to shreds from the inside out. It's such a hard feeling to describe. And you're tired all the time, but you also can't sleep. So you literally just can't sleep through all the pain. Imagination can't fathom the pain of opiate withdrawals unless you've been through it. So anyways, we were fucking desperate to say the least. So we reached out to this other dealer guy that we saw a few times in the past before that. And we ended up ghosting him because his shit wasn't strong enough for us, basically. Literally, our tolerances were so high, we had to be fucking picky about our drug dealers. We were desperate, so we asked him to come. And the girl I was staying with was so dope sick that she didn't even want to get out of the bed. So I was the one that went to go meet up and pick up from the guy. And of course, in average, like, shitty drug dealer fashion, he was like, this shit's going to be so strong. You're going to love this shit, blah, blah, blah. All the usual drug dealer spiel. But I just took the shit and ran back to the hotel room so I could do it ASAP, honestly. And we usually did like tester shots. So basically, one of us would try it first, and only usually like a little bit, just to make sure that one of us wouldn't die, basically. So to make sure one of us could help the other one if something happened, which is ironic to say the least. So I did the tester shot, and it wasn't heroin, but to this day, I don't know what it was. It was some sort of upper for sure. But me saying how bad and painful opiate withdrawals were earlier, that wouldn't even be a fraction of the pain that I felt in that moment. It felt like my blood and insides were starting to boil and kill me from the inside out. My vision was getting blurry. My heartbeat was so high that I couldn't even keep count of it when it first started, let alone the fact that it just kept getting worse. I was having muscle spasms. I couldn't think, things like that, basically. So I just started to get worse and worse, and I knew I was going to die. I started begging my so-called friend. I remember I was screaming and crying, I'm dying, please help me, I'm dying, somebody help me. But she didn't do anything. I also kept falling to the floor because I literally couldn't hold myself up. And she just kept telling me to be quiet because I was screaming, somebody help me, so loud. Eventually, I just couldn't sit up anymore. I remember my muscles were spasming so bad that I just kept trying to sit up and I'd fall back down. And I was laying on the ground looking at my shoes that were literally on the ground. And I was thinking, like, I don't want to die. I'm too young to die. Like, are my shoes going to be the last thing I see before I die? Like, I kept thinking to myself, my name is Alicia. I shot up something that I thought was heroin. It wasn't. I need help. And I just kept thinking this stuff over and over and over so that my brain wouldn't stop working, basically. I was scared that if I passed out, I wouldn't wake back up. So I kept trying to like get my brain to keep working, but it got harder and harder to think and breathe, and eventually I blacked out on the floor. And when I woke up, she was gone. She fucking left me and didn't get any help for me. I woke up alone in the room. I still could barely walk, so I crawled over to my phone and saw that she left me a message saying that she was going to a rehab and sorry that she left, and that was it. I immediately texted my boyfriend at the time and realized I couldn't communicate, literally at all. It was weird because I was thinking of words that I wanted to say, but when I tried to say them or type them, it came out as gibberish. Like, it's so hard to describe. It was like the weirdest fucking feeling in the world, honestly. It was so frustrating, and I knew I needed help, and I couldn't get any because every time I tried to text or call someone, it was like I was thinking words, but then I would type it all out or something, and I'd look back on it, and it was just nonsense. And I was able to tell it was nonsense, but I couldn't retype it. It was like something wasn't connecting in my brain. I ended up losing a lot of memories, and my brain hasn't been the same ever since. There's still a lot of things that I know that I used to know, and now I don't, and there's just things that people will bring up that I just are complete blanks in my memory. It's harder to think now. There's just a lot of different things that don't work right anymore. It's hard to explain. It just feels like there's holes in my memory and in my brain in general, and I don't know if I'll ever get them back. So here I am today, I guess. I've been sober for like 7 years. I've worked so hard on getting clean and trying to get my brain at least as close to what it used to be before. As hard as I can, I've been trying. And I just been trying so hard to live a normal life. And that shit was terrifying. I wouldn't wish that on literally anyone. And it sucks too because I don't remember the guy's name that gave me that shit. And the number he used to text us from was from some app that gives you like a fake number. So he's just out and about, and I just fucking pray that he never does that to anyone else. Like, he literally just did that because we fucking ghosted him. Like, you were willing to try to kill someone because they ghosted you? Like, what? And the girl that left me, I've talked to her since then, and she told me that she was on the phone with him while I was on the ground. Not 911, but that fucking guy. And he just basically laughed at hearing me scream and cry in the background. Even though I hold a lot of resentment for the girl that left me that night, that man is the only fucking person in this world that I wish something happens to him and he has the most miserable life possible. I really hope that karma works. But it's fucked me up so much, to say the least. And he's taken so much from me, and he almost took my life. So also, fuck him. I might feel a little bad for feeling this way, but I don't feel that bad. He's a low-life piece of shit that needs to pay for girls' pussy to get laid. So that was depressing. But I don't know. I really needed to get this off my chest. I've never really talked about the whole story start to finish before without breaking down and crying. So if anyone watches this, I hope it was either entertaining or a good don't do drugs lesson. So I don't know. Like and subscribe, I guess, if you want. I'm gonna go cry now. But I'm kidding for the most part. But yeah, see ya. Thank you for watching, and don't do drugs.